Nerd Soul.
Late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul, y'all. Man, we gonna have a good time. Hopefully, we'll see. Because you never really know. But we talk about Star Wars, Ahsoka. Episode 7 is the penultimate. We're almost home, I guess you could say. But I'm gonna go in and throw it over to one of the esteemed colleagues over here, Mr. J. Sherer. What's up?
What's happening? I know that we're going to have a good time because we're talking about Star Wars. I don't know if Star Wars is having a good time, but I know you and I are going to have a good time.
Oh, man. I don't know if Star Wars is having a good time. Yeah, Star Wars, sometimes it's tough out there. It's tough out there. But we do have a possible another guest coming up later. So, big shout out to them. They'll be coming through the side door. But I'm going to throw it to you real quick with this episode 7. What is it? Dreams and Madness, I think it's called. Do you like it?
I'll say that it was okay. It was fine. I didn't dislike it. Mm-hmm. I just was a little bit surprised and disappointed that this was the penultimate episode, like you said. Like this, in other words, at this point in the series, this seemed to me like you and I were both upset about episode 3. I think at episode 3 you can have an episode like this and it's kind of like, okay, like I'm not going to judge the whole series because they had one bad episode or one episode that was kind of not great. The problem is that when you're in the home stretch, you're like literally you've rounded third base and you were running toward home plate and you were gonna have to slide and the ball is coming in and it's like, well, you just rounded third, like you got to be on like full speed here. Mm-hmm. And this felt a little bit like half speed to me. But what did you think? How did you like it?
I'm around where you are. I don't hate this episode.
Right.
This episode is fine if it's not the penultimate episode.
Exactly.
This episode is cool. We get some cool stuff in it. We get to learn some things. But this is supposed to be the penultimate episode. This is supposed to be the build-up. Like, it's so kind of like okay through the whole episode. And I am tired of Disney saying, hey, and Lucasfilm is saying, hey, you need to buy this service and you need to pay for this service every month and we're going to give you lukewarm shows. And what I mean by lukewarm shows is that out of 8 episodes, which I don't think you planned out enough episodes or either didn't pace your show enough, but you have 8 episodes and only half of them are cool. The rest of them are like either mid to very boring. Now, there's some cool stuff that happens in this episode, but there's no build-up. And similar to what I said, I think back in episode 3 when we were covering that, my biggest fear was Thrawn is never even going to get... It'll be like the last 2 minutes in the final episode, like, oh, I'm back. And it's like... So it's disappointing. It's not that this episode is particularly bad. It's just, I wanted more. I wanted more. And what I mean by more is I wanted more stakes. I wanted more action. I wanted more drama. I wanted more destruction. I wanted more consequences for the Republic that's been pushing this off forever like it's no big deal. And then this is the same Republic that knows what happened with Moff Gideon, and we'll get into that in a second, and they're like, whatever. This dude had a whole squadron or whatever of death troopers that took, I don't know, like the remaining Mandalorians all together to stop.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, you're talking about Mandalorians. We ain't talking about like, the kids. We're talking about full-grown adult Mandalorians with all the like the rockets and the little arm guns and the fire and all that.
Yeah.
And it took all of them just to stop him. Yeah. And y'all are like just chilling. You deserve to lose. But at the same time, since this is a prequel, you have to make them dumb. That's the problem with making prequels. Because if you make them too capable, somebody will be like, well, how did they lose to the First Order? Because they made sure that, they didn't make any mistakes.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's interesting. It's
like you said, the episode, but it isn't a bad episode. It's a bad penultimate episode.
Exactly. That's exactly. We are in total agreement because, look, like, let's just say you had the same plot points, all the same plot points in this episode. In other words, Thrawn is still trying to leave. Baylan and Shin are still trying to find Sabine and Ezra, and Ahsoka is trying to get to Sabine. Those are basically those are the plot points. Outside of what the New Republic is doing, that's obviously a separate thing. Which, by the way, could be part of this too. The question you have to ask yourself is, do any of these plot points feel like they are essential and must happen? And do the characters have emotions about them happening? So the plot points need to happen, right? All of those things need to happen for this story to move forward. But it doesn't seem like anybody cares all that much stuff. They're going through the motions as opposed to, like, so for example, let's put a couple more obstacles in Ahsoka's way. Maybe her ship crash lands. Maybe Hu Yang goes down for some reason and she can't access him. Maybe she gets stranded too far away from where Sabine is and she knows she's running out of time because she sees the two drop ships go overhead and she goes, oh no, there's going to be a bunch of stormtroopers. How do I get there faster? Like, there's got to be these things that produce extra conflict and cause our heroes and our villains to experience problems. But let's just break this down for what actually happened. Ahsoka got to Sabine pretty easily. I mean, she had to get through the minefields. Okay, so that's a little bit of conflict there. But once she's through the minefield, she does have some spacecraft chasing her, but there's no time where we think those spacecraft are actually going to bring her down. Nah. So then we take that. You say, okay, wait a minute. Let's take what's going on with Thrawn. Well, Thrawn seems pretty comfortable. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Like, as long as Ahsoka's doing that over there, and as long as Baylan is being Baylan, I'm just going to go ahead and load up my Star Destroyer, and then everything's going to be fine. Like, there's no point in any of the series. The only point you can maybe say where there's some tension that seems like it's like something that the characters are going to have to surmount in like a difficult way is when Ezra and Sabine are initially cornered by all of the stormtroopers. Yeah. But there's just not enough there so in other words, what I'm saying is the penultimate episode could present challenges to every single one of the characters in it that would be emotionally challenging to them and therefore thrilling and anxiety producing for us, because that's basically what you want in a penultimate episode. Like, is this stuff going to work, or is this stuff going to be disastrous? Exactly. You got to be on the edge of the seat. Well, we didn't really get an edge of the seat. We kind of got okay, this is what happened today. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I totally agree with you 100%.
We're going to get into this, but I will say before I go any further, I have to address some critical disrespect that went on. Critical disrespect. All right. I'm going to say this with all of my heart. C-3PO is not a mere droid. He's not. Like, I can't believe he even thought to fix his mouth to say that. Okay, first thing, you ain't did nothing. All right. C-3PO has been here pretty much since the start of all of these shenanigans. Now, was he bumbling around while R2-D2 was doing the real work? Yes, but still, he's been there. And if it wasn't for C-3PO, the Battle of Endor would have been lost.
Oh, good point.
Because our trio, our famed heroes that we were following, were going to be eaten by by our happy little Ewoks. They were going to be eaten. They had already hog-tied them and everything. They had the fire set and all that. Like they were about to have a cookout. C-3PO saved that, turned it around, communicated between our heroes and the Ewoks so that they could actually plan for the coming invasion of the Empire to their planet, and also let them know about the whole Endor base.
Yep.
So if it wasn't for C-3PO, don't you ever disrespect C-3. I can't believe this dude. And then, okay. Then to go forward. Well, you know what? I'm going to throw a theory out. Okay. First, my theory is Xiono is Empire. He's definitely Empire. He's either Empire or he's completely stupid. He's like Jedis and troopers and stuff. It's like, yeah, dummy. Like, did you not hear? Where were you? Like, you're part of the new Republic, right? You want to know why the Republic is new? Have you even heard of like Leia Skywalker? Like Han Solo, the Wookiee? Did y'all hear Darth Vader? Like, you never heard of Inquisitors using the Force? Like, why is he acting like he's never been here before? Now, at the same time, this might tie back to Andor, where all those rich people were pretty much disassociated from, like, they didn't care. Yeah. Like they were rich, and like even like the people on Canto Bight, they were like, we're out here in Vegas. Like, we don't really care about like what's going on. I mean, if you looked at, you wouldn't even be able to tell that there was a war going on. So maybe you can throw it off on that, but there's no way you have not heard of the Force at all. Like, come on, man. This dude, either you are hyper stupid or you're a plant for the Empire. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust it. And even like Hera said, I protected the New Republic by ignoring you. Yeah. Like, God, he's stupid.
I have two responses. For you. Just double down on what you're saying, because I totally agree. Because the 3PO thing felt like such needless fan service that it almost felt ridiculous. Like, of this series, it's the one thing where I'm like, okay, if you're talking fan service, like, you don't need 3PO to be there. It doesn't make sense for 3PO to be there. You don't even treat him like 3PO. But let's just put that aside for a second. If you were to say, who's the most famous droid in the entire galaxy at this point in time?
I see, at this point, it probably have to be R2, I guess.
It's either R2 or 3PO.
Yeah.
And let me put it this way. 3PO has an advantage that R2 doesn't have, is that he speaks basic. He speaks galactic basic. So yeah. If there was going to be like Droid Magazine doing a spread on like who wants to talk to the humans, 3PO is the one they're going to contact, right? So my thing is that, like, to double down on your point, nobody in that room should not know who C-3PO is. I mean, this dude, not only was he on Endor, this dude was getting awarded by the Republic, the Rebels at the time, the Rebellion at the time. He was there when they were all getting medals.
Oh, yeah, in episode 4 he was there.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like this. It's not like what was the droid? It's not like K2SO or the droid from Solo, L337.
L3, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, they did this one thing in this one part of the galaxy, and like maybe they've never been on a stage before. They're not next to anybody famous. Okay, I get that. But we're talking about C-3PO. This dude has been on every stage that the New Republic has walked on. So you can't treat this droid like, oh, sorry, you can't make it in here. Like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, and the dude was trying to play defense on him and stuff. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I want to talk about another point. Are you bringing up Xiono? Is it Xiono or Xiono?
Yeah, Xiono. I think it's Xiono.
I think you're right. Okay, so Xiono. Here's what's really frustrating to me about that whole scene. Okay, that scene felt more to me. Oh yeah, Solar is now in the experience with us here.
I am sorry, guys. I did not get the announcement when you sent out the invitation. I'm like, am I doing this today? And then but I'm here.
Oh, you're here. You're good. You're here for some good stuff. You're here for some good stuff.
All right, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Okay, so that scene really irritated me because it felt almost more like that was the Empire in the meeting as opposed to the New Republic. Now let me explain what I mean. You had, I know that Hera is a Twi'lek, right? Mm-hmm. But then you've got Leia, who is a white woman. You have Mon Mothma, who is a white woman, and they are doing these things that are underhandedly working against the system of government that they helped set up. And then you've got the people of color in the room, Xiono being one of them, who's like, guys, we should probably do this by the book. We don't want to operate like in some other way that where we could not be perceived as the most professional government, the professional government as we build this out. And they're like, no, we're just going to work underhandedly to go around all the systems of process and procedure that we've got here to do whatever we want to do because we're the ones that set this stuff up in the first place. And that to me felt like it just didn't. Yeah. I did not like how it felt at all. It felt very anti what the New Republic is trying to stand for. Now, do I think Xiono is in the right in suggesting that they should ignore this? Not at all. Like, obviously, like you pointed out, he's got to be an Imperial plant or he's an idiot. But to set up the person who's saying, guys, we're trying to be a government here, let's actually act like one. Like, it wasn't that he was so upset about, I mean, he was upset about what Hera had done, but then he's doubly righteously upset by the fact that Leia went around all of them and was like, oh yeah, I sanctioned this, by the way. So that scene just did not work for me on multiple levels. And it felt like, dude, the New Republic is just going to act like they are a bunch of people who don't even care about having a government. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
I wonder if that could be thrown off, because I was thinking about this when I was watching the scene, and I'll throw this to Solar too after this. Do you think that that's due to their sort of rebellious nature, because they've been rebels so long that even though they're in a government now, or they're building a government now, they're just like, hey, this is something that needs to be done, so let's just do it. Like, and not saying that that's right. And I mean, I guess it is right because we know Thrawn is coming, because we know, but
right.
Like, they are just kind of going on a hunch, even though it's a good hunch, but they're not really crossing their T's and dotting their I's. They're just like, look, hey, I think Thrawn is coming. I trust you. We've been in the trenches. We're just going to do it. And it's like, you can't do that anymore because you're not a rebellion anymore. But Solar, how are you feeling about that whole situation?
Y'all really gonna make me do this, huh? I see you only call me in to be the voice of dissent. So hold up before people get to their keyboards. Get to your keyboards. So you guys remember the second of the sequels?
You're talking about the
Last Jedi?
Last Jedi.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Last Jedi. I am reminded of Benicio del Toro's character, the weapons dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he pointed out that Republic, the Republic, the Empire, who cares? The only difference between the two, really, when you come down to looking at it, is we know for a fact that one side tortures, and we don't know for a fact that the other one doesn't. That's
good
it.
point.
That's the only, like, there's an old saying, one man's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. So I'm definitely with you on the bro's got to be an Imperial plant, only because of the level of opposition he puts toward everything.
Yeah, his hateration is so strong.
Yeah, I'm like sitting up going, are y'all exes? Is that it? Like, because this is looking real personal. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how to put that in words, but I'm like, yeah, you look like you tried to get a couple of phone numbers there, and Mon Mothma and Hera just kind of said, "Boy, walk," because that's how he's acting. But that being said, okay, I see what you're talking about as far as him using actual policy to show that Hera wasn't following orders and she was doing a whole lot of terrible stuff. Terrible stuff in the sense of you have a job to do and you're not doing your job, and we're supposed to be, protocol followers. But simultaneously, I'm reminded of bad cops. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that practice law enforcement in a strange kind of way. Like in the everybody's breaking the law, but I'm only going to punish this person for it. Because when you take a look at everything that Hera has actually put on the reports, okay, I'm talking the little insurrection at on Corellia, and he wrote that off like, oh, that was a one-time incident. And then like every piece of evidence that she's put toward him to say, look, there is a resurgence in Empire and we got kind of a thing, he writes off in a way of saying, well, I want proof, but not that proof, and not that proof, and not that proof. You see what I mean? So, when a person in power is gumming up the works, in order to get the job done, you have to break the rules. And again, the Benicio del Toro thing was, bro, I sell weapons. I sold weapons to the Empire. I sold weapons to the Rebellion. Fact, everybody acts the same way when they try to accomplish something. The big question is, okay, they have a republic. How they gonna run the joint? And the fact is, one of the reasons that a lot of people so don't care about revolutions is that whoever takes over the government, whatever intentions they have, they only can conceptualize government on a day-to-day based on what they grew up with. Kind of like those of us with kids are like, I'm not going to be nothing like my parents. And then we get tired and our kid does something and we open our mouth and our mom or dad comes out. So I can definitely see that. But I'm right there with you in the sense of being frustrated and watching the New Republic act just like the Empire with the heroic amounts of bureaucracy that they have to jump through, but I don't think that makes the Republic different. I think it just makes it yet another administrative body. You get what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm following you, and I think that if we were to break down like how would you solve this problem, to me the way you solve this problem is more like it was done in Andor, where there are serious consequences when Andor gets caught, and because you're 100% right. Like, this guy is being he's being resistant to evidence, but at the same time, I could make an argument that Hera hasn't really given enough evidence to those in power to be able to prove her point. Because I mean, did we ever see her give any evidence of like, look, they built a ring that travels to another galaxy, guys? Like, it feels like some of the,
because Hu Yang has that evidence, but
exactly
he's in another galaxy.
Exactly.
But then I was wondering, I mean, because of course there's tons of technology. I'm like, and I know this is super random, but I'm like, don't these ships have like dash cams? Like, can't they just be like, hey, we saw Like, if I have a dash cam in my regular car, something that you're flying through space surely has like a dash cam or something, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I have that suspension of disbelief, saying we as the audience haven't seen Hera present evidence, but I'm sorry, guys, they got holographic phones, so chances are they got security cameras.
yeah.
And if nothing else, there's got to be a paper trail for the Corellian engine that got stolen in episode 3, was it?
Yeah, because the robot was talking about, going to check it, and the HK droid wouldn't allow it to check the thing. And then so there's definitely a record of that ship taking off and them chasing it. But basically they were saying, well, hey, since you didn't find anything after that, they're just a rogue, they're treating like all of these things are just like rogue little, and it's like, okay, guys, I know you want to say all of these things are rogue, but remember, the reason the rebellion won is because for so long the Empire thought we were all rogue, but we were all working together. Remember?
Facts.
Remember Fulcrum?
Remember the fact that we won because everybody was
all of us were doing different things, but together. Like, they're so dumb. And I'm not saying that you have to have like the iron fist of like the Emperor, but things like, I mean, when Tava mentioned what happened on Mandalore, which lets us know that this is definitely after season 3, like, once he tells us about, there should be I guess like a detectives or something that follow that up, like go there, get, I don't know, evidence, or put them in little bags, and you tag them, and you interview people. You just do things. All right, you do things to find out what happened. And then also you take that, then you have people saying for the Empire and firing on me. I think it's more than just one person now, especially when like 3 other people in the room started firing on us. Like, maybe this is a thing.
I think one of the things that we could do to solve this problem for Xiono is just give him an alternate means of what he's advocating for. So in other words, all we know is that he's being a barrier, right? But what if they suddenly told us, maybe he is the Empire even, right? Maybe he's part of the Empire, but maybe instead of making him look like a total doofus, maybe they could just say, okay, what if he has an alternate way of spending this time? Like, we're not in an open conflict, so Hera, you should be distributing resources to some of the mid-rim, which got decimated by the Empire, and we need to have humanitarian efforts there. Then, at that point, it would be like, okay, we may not agree with him, but we can see that he has a point about something else. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, because it seems like you don't want Hera to do this, but she doesn't really have anything else to do, because it's something brought up like, hey, Hera, you know that you're supposed to be doing this, this, and this, and that's not happening because some phantom hyperspace ring that you're chasing, or Phantom Menace. It's like, you have real things to do, and these jobs are suffering, or other people are having to pick up your slack.
Yes.
Because, so you know what? I'll leave Xiono alone. We have other things to talk about, but that, oh man,
we spent way more of this show talking about Xiono than I ever expected.
He's because he's an example of like what's wrong with the Republic in general.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did like as far as generals is General Skywalker. Seeing Anakin in his hologram glory, teaching the form over to Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka redoing the form, talking about that this was his last message and everything. I know it's fan service, but I really liked it. Like, I really liked that. I thought it was an awesome moment.
I might be alone, but I thought it was a beautiful moment. Yeah, I gotta say that Hayden Christensen has finally grown into that role. Like, I was watching the hologram and the stuff from, was it 2 episodes ago when Ahsoka was drowning? And I'm like, oh, I think my problem with Anakin in the prequels 20 years ago now was that he looked so young. You know, like middle-aged Anakin being like, all right, so you need to do this. Now, spread your legs, go harder, concentrate. I'm like, all right, you know what? I think Hayden Christensen now plays an Anakin that I like a lot better.
Yeah, and see, we also have kind of like the opportunity for him to see how Anakin was portrayed in the Clone Wars after that, because also those movies had such a time jump. Like, oh man, yeah, I'm not even gonna get started on those because there are things about the prequels that I do like, so I don't hate the prequels. It's just, I think that time jump also kind of hurt too as far as our experience with, you know, Anakin. But yeah, I like even the part where he's like, and always practice your forms, or at least more than I do, like that kind of thing. Like, it's just there was so much kind of like heart and relatability between those two that you got to see in this message that I thought it was awesome. And now, of course, it doesn't really push the story forward really, but I thought it was beautiful.
I looked at it like planting a seed for later.
Okay.
Because they talked a lot about just Ahsoka's whole story arc when it comes to this part. Really seems like her coming to grips with being a teacher and what it actually takes. You know?
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. What are your thoughts, man?
How about you, Jason?
I liked it. I liked it too. I thought it was, for me, it was the single line that Ahsoka says is what put a stamp on what she learned in her earlier experience in the maybe world between worlds with Anakin, meaning that she said he was a good master. And when she said that, what I think that meant was I have come to terms with who Anakin was versus who Anakin became, and I'm okay with who he was, and reflecting on that and going, he had a job to do. That job was contextualized to war. We were in a war, and he was training me for war. And so he didn't give me the full width and breadth of all the training that I would need throughout my entire journey, but he gave me a large chunk of it that is very helpful for what I've encountered. So to me, that was the power of this particular interaction. And I agree with both of you. Like, Hayden Christensen playing Anakin now is about 100 times better than him playing. And I still think that George Lucas had a lot to do with that, just as from his directing perspective. But
oh, you know, the new director isn't concerned as much with poetry, saying it doesn't have to rhyme.
That's true. That's true.
Oh boy. Now I will say that I think, or I guess in my head I can guess that when she was with Luke and Grogu, that Luke told her that he finally turned back to the light. Hopefully, I assume they talked about you know Vader / Anakin, or Anakin / Vader, because I mean it's his dad, it's her master. They have a huge like connection between him. So I would hope that he told her like, hey, this is what happened, at the very end. But maybe not, because if she knew that and had that kind of closure, maybe she wouldn't be going through this now. So maybe not. Or it could have been a situation where they both didn't really want to talk about it because of, it being such a huge dark spot on the galaxy in general. Like the Order 66, hunting down the rest of the Jedi, the Inquisitors, all that. So maybe not. But the training I thought was just awesome and beautiful. And then, it did help us kind of see how she approaches Sabine later, who I'm also mad at. Oh man. Okay, Solar, let me ask you this. And I know a lot of shows do this, where the character does something bad and the character that they're with should know, but like for their happiness or whatever, they're not telling yet because they just want to enjoy the time with them. So I mean, I'm not dogging out Star Wars. Anyone who loves Star Wars, look, I've loved Star Wars ever since I saw it on TNT a long time ago. And if you don't know, TNT, USA, and TBS was like the original Netflix. All right, it was like they just played movies all the time. So it's one of those things where, like, Sabine, there's real stuff going on, and she's just like, glad I got a chance to rest. I feel so good. I'm like, no, what do you mean you got to rest? Like, it's serious. He sacrificed himself to remove this threat from the galaxy. Now there's a very real chance that this threat can come back, and you were a part of it. And you're not even telling him.
All right.
And she's just chilling like, hey, we're just kicking it, riding out on the country plains together. I mean, does that bother you
with the Turtle Rock people? Yeah.
Does that bother you, or does it not bother you?
Real talk, it does not bother me.
Okay. Because I could be tripping.
Well, for one major reason on this, and that is, understand I'm not as deep into the Rebel lore as you guys are, but I did watch a season and a half, and you know what? As stupid as that might sound, all right, as stupid as her going, can I just enjoy this for a hot minute might sound, it is 100% inarguably within Sabine's character. Okay.
I guess I thought she would have grown, because it's been 10 years since the finale. So yeah. I guess I was just hoping that she would be a little bit different, or at least be able to, like, hey,
what have we seen over the course of the last 6 episodes that would have implied that? Forget the time between the old show. Just in this show, as it stands, it has shown, number one, that the only thing that shows Sabine's maturity is puberty, and that she has her own place. Outside of that, emotional maturity is not her bag. It's really not the bag of anybody on this show, except for one. And you're going to bring him up, so I won't bring him up. But there's 2 people on this show that are emotionally mature. Okay? Because the premise of the show is watch these people mature emotionally.
It's just weird, because at least from the finale, and I said this about her meaning Sabine in the premiere, I felt like we left Sabine at a more mature point in season 4 than we see her now. But we absolutely did. But I mean, people can revert. People can kind of like take a couple steps back. Who knows? And then she lost Ezra, sort of, kind of, because he's not dead. We're with him now. So I mean, maybe, I don't know. How about you, Jay?
Well, okay, so I feel 2 ways about it. I totally understand Solar's argument, and I think it's a pretty good argument that she's just not emotionally mature enough. I think, though, that this goes again to me to like execution, because there's 2 things that bug me about it, regardless of even if that's true to her character. One is that, again, we're not playing with the tension of what that means, because the reason she would not be telling Ezra of what's coming for them is not, I don't think it's 100% her emotional immaturity. There's an added component of she doesn't want to tell him what he wants to hear, because he thinks that her being there means that they're going to be able to go home. But we basically know they're not getting home, right?
Ooh, when he said he was ready to go home at the end, I was like, ha.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a about that.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole home thing, yeah.
The bus may not stop here, buddy. Like, we might be stuck. But okay, so there's that part of it that I think could be built up tension between them that they're not really playing with. The other thing that bugged me about this episode was that when he made that comment at the end, Ahsoka didn't say anything to him. Like, so Ahsoka just kind of smiled at him like, oh yeah, we're all gonna go home. And it was like, Ahsoka can't get home unless she gets on that ring. Like, she's not gonna call the Purgles back.
Is that Ahsoka in this moment is, since of course she's changed, she's kind of had her awakening, or I guess reawakening, because she seems, she's smiling again. She's even cracking jokes. Maybe she's at a point where it's all going to be okay. No matter what, we're going to find a way back. Maybe that's it.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
And that's cool. That's cool. The only problem I have with that is the thing we said about this penultimate episode was that the stakes felt low and the conflict felt unimportant overall. And so I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that it was the worst thing ever. I'm just saying that they had the opportunity to work in some things that would have, like, we're going to avoid crushing Ezra's soul. So just don't let him know that we can't get home yet, or that it's going to be difficult for us to get home. And they didn't really play with that. And that, I think, took this episode and made it a little bit more like a... People hate when people say things like this, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. A filler episode of the Clone Wars, as opposed to the penultimate episode of Ahsoka, the series. That to me was the difference.
Wow, not
Man,
a filler.
I love your perspective. I really love hearing you talk.
A filler episode.
Ditto, Solar. I love these episodes.
Yeah, it's. I guess I'll agree, because, like we were saying, I don't dislike this episode. I just don't think that this is a penultimate episode. Like, if this was episode 4 or 3, I'd be like, cool, all right, we're going somewhere, all right, But it's almost, and Disney has done this throughout, whether it's Marvel, whether it's Star Wars, like, they will wait to the absolute last minute. Netflix has done it in a couple of shows too, but they'll wait to the absolute last minute to give you what the trailer was talking about. And
yeah,
like I said about that guy on that video that was talking about shows in the 90s. Even though shows in the 90s were wild, at least back in the 90s, they gave you that stuff up front. Like, he was like, if there was a show called Skate Man, he would be skating every episode. Rollerblades, skateboards, quad
I want
skates.
you to know my tongue is bleeding from biting it because I want to talk about Hammerman.
He'd be the little suit where you have the rollerblades on your arms and you're like, your whole body is skating. He'd be doing that every episode. But in Netflix or something, he's not even going to get his pair of skates until like the beginning of the finale. Like, then he's going to be like, see you next season, maybe.
I blame Smallville.
Oh. Smallville, the real tease.
No flights, no tights.
Oh man, even though
flights,
Smallville
no
has
tights, that was one of their rules,
That's true.
But yeah, this episode would have been awesome as episode 3 or so, even 4. But now this is and then it's not long enough. Like, well, no, hold on, let me take it back. I've seen in 40 minutes, I've seen, like shows on FX do tons of stuff. Like, I mean, Atlanta has done amazing things with 40 minutes, but it's almost like they took 40 minutes and was just kind of like, all right, so here's some kind of cool stuff. We're not really going to move forward really, but it's going to be cool to see. Like, I'll go in and I'll say something else that annoys me, and maybe I will be rewarded in the finale. But we got to talk about Baylan Skoll, man.
Bruh.
Look,
Bruh.
why I have the feeling, and Solar, I'll let you go. I have the feeling that whatever he's looking for is not going to satisfy me, because they've been holding us back so long. I feel like whatever he's looking for is going to be like, oh, okay. Because they're like, it's so secretive. He's not talking about it to anyone, and it's so secretive, and everyone's hanging on his every word. And then I can feel it in my soul. The next episode, whatever he gets is going to be like, oh, well, all right. You could have told us about this in episode 2. But Solar, how are you feeling about Baylan Skoll? Because
So number one, it's funny listening to you guys talk about what annoy you in this episode. I'm like, yep, mostly everything that's annoying everybody is on the Rebels / New Republic side. However, so as far as Baylor goes, everything that I'm seeing in this, from the last 2 episodes, okay, not just the penultimate, but the penultimate, where he looked at Shin in her smoky eyes and said, yeah, you need to kill them and take your place in this empire. I got this thing I got to do. You know,
yeah, he straight up was like, he was like, you know what? I've taken you this far. Have a good one.
Yeah. That said to me that he is being set up as either a force or an antagonist for season 2. If not for the death of the actor. Rest in power, man.
Oh yeah.
Really loved you in Thor. But what I definitely see is either he is going to be a force to be reckoned with next season, or he is going to find what he needs, and then he's going to pull the heroic sacrifice to get Ahsoka and Ezra and I can't believe I forgot her name and we just said it.
Sabine.
And Sabine home. I think he's going to be the key to getting them back to the galaxy that they're from, because he is going to discover the power of the witches and all that stuff. You know, that's what I see. Because the idea of the whales going back to that universe to die means, or that galaxy to die, means that they are stranded until the next migration of the whales out, i.e. when the next pod hatches or is born and comes of age and decides to move out and go kick it in the galaxy that they're actually from so that they can hitch a ride. Or they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to figure out a way to get back to the galaxy quicker because Thrawn's got a ride and they don't. And you can only pull the Han Solo garbage trick a limited number of times. You know, so that's what I see. But honestly, I love Baylor's character. Okay, I really do. I think he is a really good anti-ist. I can't say anti-hero or anti-villain because we just don't know.
Yeah, he's kind of like doing his own thing. He doesn't seem particularly evil.
No,
he's just kind of like doing his own thing. And he even talked about like the Jedi Order in a way where he's like, no, the Jedi Order was cool. They just went about it wrong or something like that. I can't remember exact words.
Like,
but
they had good ideas, but man, were they stupid. You know, he was talking like a fan. So yeah, I think he's being set up to be the Deus Ex Machina for our protagonists in the next episode.
Okay. All right. Again, how about you, Jay? How are you feeling about him? You know, the whole letting Shin go and, you know, smoky eyes on her own.
So I totally agree with Solar. He's one of the best new Star Wars characters in a long time. And I think Shin is too, by the way. I think she's working out nicely in this. So we talked about last week I said, you know, I think basically the ending of this show is that you have the Jedi are, so Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka, possibly even Baylan and Shin are all exiled on Peridia, and everybody else gets back home. Thrawn goes back, and you basically have Thrawn back in the normal galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, without any with very few Jedi. And you still got Luke, right? But you don't have a bunch of other Jedi to battle him. That seems like it's still becoming true. What it seems to me is that Baylan, like he said last week, he's playing a different game. He doesn't care about Thrawn. He never cared about Thrawn. His goal was to get to Peridia, because on Peridia there was going to be something of power that he was going to utilize. I've been hearing a lot about these Star Wars fans love to bring up the Mortis stuff, and so I've heard that like, he's gonna have you heard this theory where he's going to be going after the mother, who was like a character who went like supreme evil or something? I'm not super familiar with that portion of the storyline, and that the mother is actually calling to him. I'll just say this: I'm not familiar enough with that to know if that's going to happen or not. But I will say this: I think that is the same problem that we had with WandaVision when we all thought that Mephisto was going to show up. Like, I don't think they're going to go that far into lore. I mean, if someone's going to do it, it is Filoni. So I appreciate people like, you know, thinking that Filoni's going to bring that about. I just don't. Whether it's her, I don't know her name. It's like, I don't remember what it is, Morgoth or something.
I'm like Abeloth or something like that.
Yeah. You're right. Abeloth. I think you guys are exactly right. Abeloth or something like that. But anyway, if it's her or if it's not her, he is playing a different game. I think he is trying to reset. He's trying to reset the universe and the Force. And like we talked about it last week. I think he's either going to take all the Force power for himself, or he's going to just cut the Force out entirely and no one's going to have the Force and everything just starts over from scratch. But,
you think he might be pulling a Baron Zemo, huh?
Yeah, I think he might. But then again, I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't seem to care about anything else that everyone else in this show cares about. He's like just on a different mission altogether. So that's my take.
All right, cool. So Baylan Skoll still out. I do like the way we got to see Shin Hati without him, because she immediately was just like, "You're not coming. You're not going to help." So when it was her versus, well, I guess her and the rest of the troopers versus, you know, our famed Ezra, our famed Ezra and Sabine, I will give Ezra his props. Ezra was like, "Oh, don't you want to take us as prisoners?"
So can we talk about him?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I gotta say, I like him a lot more now.
Oh yes, older adult Ezra is way better than TV show Ezra. Way better.
Because
TV show Ezra, Rebels Ezra was annoying.
Well, Filoni and
I love
whoever wrote it, I gotta give y'all the flowers, because they did something that I have wanted to see in Star Wars for a long time.
Okay.
And that was, all right, here, this is yours. Oh no, I gave it to you. No, you take. No, I don't need. I'm good. What, the Force is my ally. I'm good. And he's Force pushing.
Yeah, he was
martial art.
I'm like straight kung fu like movements, and I was like, "Yo, this is cool."
Yeah,
I was like, he was
that's
like, "Oh,
what
no."
I've wanted
He was
to
like, "I'm
see
cool, I'm fine."
Well, that's what I've wanted to see from Jedi since 1987. I am not joking. Okay, I have gone on the record hundreds of times in saying that my problem with episode 2 was specifically the Yoda and Dooku fight. That was the straw that broke my back. Because in my mind, Yoda should have been in Lotus position with lightsabers flying everywhere.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, dude, that's
I would have
strong
liked to
in the
see
Force?
that too.
Yeah, I didn't want to see him bouncing around the screen like Sonic the Hedgehog on crack. But that being said, when Ezra's like, "Nah, the Force is my ally. I'm good." I'm like, bruh, yes, that is what I'm talking about right there. Because again, not to bring the prequels up too much, but hearing Obi-Wan saying this is a Jedi's weapon, he's life or death without it, but then flashing back to my favorite protagonist, or my favorite antagonist in most of fiction, Palpatine, in Return of the Jedi, didn't have a lightsaber, except the one he took from Luke, saying, "Go ahead, pick it up. Pick it up. Come on, I dare you. Come on, pick it up. Pick it up. Come on, stab me in the face." You know? And I remember as a kid, because I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters, I'm like, this old man's got something up his sleeve, you know? And yeah, he had the dark side of the Force letting him throw lightning at Luke while talking crap. to Luke's dad. Ha, caught myself. What's going on there, so light? So watching a light side Jedi be like, I'm cool, I don't need a lightsaber. I'm like, all right, yeah, give me some of that.
And I also love his I'll say 3. I think Baylan Skoll might be my favorite uniform. Then Ezra, then Ahsoka. Like the switch to like the white and light gray, I really dig that. But the Ezra gear, I ain't gonna front. It's kind of dope. I like the fit. I like it.
He reminds me of Danny Yen in Rogue One.
Oh
yeah, very similar. But man, the movements, the force pushing, the kind of just his confidence without the lightsaber was really cool to see. And then even Ahsoka, well, we've seen Ahsoka fight Darth Maul without a blade, but in Tales of the Jedi she fought without a blade too. But in here, when Shin Hati comes to her, you can see that she's not even going for the kill, and she even says, "Hey, I can help you" at the end. So this is a very different Ahsoka. Like, she's definitely come back to like kind of sort of the old Ahsoka that we knew, where there was some hope, there was a little joy in there, because she probably could have easily beat Shin Hati. She probably could have easily beat her, but she didn't even draw her blade on her. She just blocked her a couple times and was like, "Look, hey, give me your weapon. I can help you." So I thought that was awesome.
That was cool. All of that was cool. Yeah, I mean, like, it is, to your point, Solar, like that felt like what we've always thought the Jedi were capable of, but they've literally never showed it to us. So that's an excellent point. Like, showing it to us in this one and having it beat Ezra was super cool. And I do agree with both of you that Ezra is way better now than he's ever been in the past. Like, for sure. I think that he actually may be a little underutilized, to be honest with you. Like, we haven't. I'd love to hear what he learned in the meantime. Like, he seems like a more mature Ezra, who like seems patient, and he's like, "Hey, I knew you guys were going to show up." He seems kind. They haven't even given us like a real close up of his eyes. Like, his eyes are like a big part of his character. I'd love to see a close up there. Like, but I'm here for more from him. So they've done the job of enticing him. I mean, that's enticing more stuff from him. I think it's great.
Yeah, and just thinking of what Solar said about Yoda and his fighting style, I remember seeing it and I was like, it's cool to see that this is someone that can save all this energy for like spurts of fights like this. But I also would have loved a different fighting style where it was more force based, or where even where slow, where like he doesn't draw the blade all the time. Like, he might only draw the blade when you're like extremely close, but outside of that, he's just like moving you around and like parrying you and stuff. And like a great mix of like Wing Chun and Tai Chi, like a really good mix of that.
Yeah,
like that would be awesome. Because it's like almost like, and maybe even some judo where it's like, I'm just using your force against you. Like, you kind of like you ran yourself into that wall, sort of.
Well, the answer to that question is bakwa. Unfortunately, it's been used in another beloved franchise.
Let me guess. In the Federation, is it being used in that?
Nope, I'm talking Avatar: The Last Airbender. Bakwa is Aang's style of kung fu. So a lot of circular movements, a lot of twisting, a lot of, no, we're gonna go this way now, and now I'm gonna get out the way, And to get
that, you thought you were gonna punch me, and now you're choking yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I am very much digging that. Although I got a little bit of bone to pick with you, NERDSoul. Because I've been hearing y'all talk for years about Mandalorians. Mandalorian's awesome. Mandalorian this. Mandalorian against Jedi. Blah, blah, blah. And I didn't quite get it until this episode, which is Jedi Jedi are magic and Mandalorians are tech. And I didn't quite get that. Because, again, when I was a kid, I saw Boba Fett's armor and I'm like, hey, that guy's cool. And then I went about my day building go-karts, riding bikes, and doing all the stuff that feral Generation X kids did while drinking from the water hose and making sure I was in before the lights came on. But understanding now that the Jedi are the Force, which is faith-based, and the Mandalorians are tech-based, I now completely understand why Sabine sucks as a Jedi. Because her commitment to her tech means that she doesn't have faith in the Force. So that scene,
like she's unwilling to let it go, sort of.
Yeah, that scene, that fight scene where we got to see Ezra doing all the cool stuff, really illustrated something that no other piece of Star Wars lore that I've come across has managed to do clearly. You know, because Ezra's like, yeah, the Force is my ally, I don't even need a lightsaber. And she's like, yeah, you know, that's good, but I guess I'll take your lightsaber and my blasters and my flamethrowers. And the last time we got something like that was an Empire when Luke went into the cave. You know? But equating that moment to the test of an actual, or equating the test to the practical application, I thought was really well done. I gotta say that. But yeah, and y'all never told me, no, Mandalorians are cool because they have all the cool gadgets. I would have gotten it by then.
Apologies.
Y'all just kept telling me, man, they're cool. Why? well, Boba Fett found Han Solo. Yeah, he went out with the garbage. What makes Mandalorians cool? I don't get it.
Man, yeah, I will give her props for the kind of mixing the tech with the Jedi, you know, Force-ish. I mean, she's using a lightsaber. She was able to kind of feel Ahsoka calling to her through the Force. So it's a little piece there. And even Ezra was like, really? He was like, oh, no, I don't mean he was like, Ahsoka trained me. He was like, really?
Like, seriously? Okay.
But I mean,
no, I mean, it's good. It's good.
No, it's fine. But it would have been nice to see maybe her get into maybe the history of Tar Vizsla a little bit more, especially since she had the blade for a little bit of time, and maybe try to figure out how he was able to be a Jedi and then very Mandalorian as well.
Right.
But you know, that's neither here nor there. I want to talk about one of the stars of the episode. Oh yeah, and you know who it is. It's the blue-skinned one. That's right. You know
that is why I am here.
Thrawn. I love Thrawn. Thrawn is he's my favorite Star Wars character, and this episode continues to illustrate why. He shows exactly why the Empire lost. Like they're, you know, they can see on the kind of like on the battleship board that the you know, the Jedi are getting a leg up. They're winning a little bit, and Morgan's like, throw more people out there, send more people. He's like, no, that's enough. We got all the data we need. Our job is to get to the next galaxy. Going to pull everybody back. Don't worry about it. Like the Empire always throws more bodies at the problem, and Thrawn's like, nope. I'll send 2 gunships. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'll see what happens. Call everybody back. Let's go. Like he's so intent on his actual goal. Not like, oh well, they shot 2 of us, so we got to make sure we go shoot 4 of them. No. We are planning to get out of this galaxy. And like he's done that with her last episode and this episode, where he's like, no, we gotta stay focused. We're getting out of this galaxy. That's the main issue. Nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his movements are to serve that. I mean, even when he finds out that Ahsoka, he's like, I want to know her master, where she's from, blah blah blah. Once he sees that her master was Anakin, he was like, all right, nope, this makes this more dangerous. All right, let's see, let's go in and get this wrapped up, because I don't trust it. He was like, because Anakin was already like straight up boss level before he became Vader, and he was one of their best Jedi pilots. No, I'm not taking any chances. Let's stay hands off, pull the fighters back. Like, he was very, very strategic throughout this whole thing, which is something that it helps illustrate his like amazing nature to people that might be brand new to him. At least sort of amazing, I guess, in a bad way. But Jay, how did you like Thrawn and his depiction in this episode?
Oh, I think it's perfect. It's perfect Thrawn. I think that this is what I think would maybe make him even cooler. But again, this is more not a complaint against Thrawn. It's more a complaint against the tension in the penultimate episode of Ahsoka's series.
Yeah.
It would be kind of fun if we actually saw him going through his process of figuring out what all the options could be, so that we felt like maybe we ultimately know that he has the ability to get to a place that is superior to thinking about the problem or the scenario as opposed to everyone else around him. They're all inferior to his thinking. What would be cool is if in this episode we saw him be like, like, let's just say we had the same interaction between Thrawn and Morgan, and instead of him being like, no, we don't need that, what if he was like, you know what, I'm gonna think about this for a minute, and he goes into his chambers and we see him and he's got like his whole chessboard of options and he's moving stuff around and he's making different changes, and at the end of the episode we see his face, the light reflected from the chessboard or the battle board that he has in front of him, and he all of a sudden smiles and goes, I've got him. Or like checkmate or something.
Okay,
right? Like,
yeah.
That's the only
showing
thing
his
Thrawn,
process, or at least showing him thinking.
Correct.
Even thinking on his feet could work. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But otherwise, other than that, I think the actor that's portraying him, I mean, obviously this is the same guy from Rebels, so we know that the voice is great, but like the way that he's able to carry himself, I think is phenomenal. The way he talks to people, he doesn't, even with Morgan, he's not like, Morgan, you're an idiot, get out of my way. He's like, no, like, we're good, don't worry about that. Like, he's almost like a soothing presence, to be honest with you. Like, you're like,
he's not, it's weird because Thrawn is he's so calm and relaxed. Even when something bad happens that like is out of his calculation, he's like, all right, we learned from that. Hold the fighters back in. Like, it's not even, he's not like angry. He's not like, wiping everything off the table and flipping the table. No, he's not doing that. He's just like, okay, we've learned enough from our first encounter with Ahsoka. We'll continue. And then also, like he said, we're down a mercenary. Like, his calculation was, I have 2 Force users plus 2 gunships and the little like bounty fighters or whatever we got on this planet.
Right.
But then he looked at the board where he's like, we're down a mercenary. He's like, where's Baylan Skoll? So even he's like, okay. Once again, tons of random things happening to him where he's like, see, this is why I can't work with you people.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would like to see his process where he kind of like sits, and just kind of like thinks, or like he's moving chess pieces around or something like that. That would be cool.
It would be really difficult to be the employee of the month if you work for Thrawn. It might be Enoch might have it, but it's pretty tough. Let's just face it.
Yeah, because I mean, he plans for everything, and if you mess up one thing, he's like, well, yeah, you were okay, but can't get employee of the month today. Or this month. Nah, I can't do it. Like, remember that one thing you messed up? Like that one small thing? Yeah, too bad, you can't get it. One thing that I thought was really cool, like
hold up, I didn't get a chance to weigh in on this yet.
Oh no, I'm gonna throw it to you. It came to my mind real quick. when Ezra's hair got cut a little bit. I thought that was a cool effect. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh.
So yeah, I gotta say, fanboy alert. All right, because like seriously, if y'all are listening, yeah. So for those of you guys like listening to this on YouTube, press like, press subscribe, share this. But fanboy alert, because bruh, this is my Thrawn. Okay. When Timothy Zahn introduced him in Heir to the Empire, he wrote, had Thrawn not been on the other side of the galaxy, the Empire would have fared differently during the rebellion. And I'm like, okay, yeah, who is this guy? And the more I read about him, I'm like, oh my god, because I love masterminds. This guy in this episode reminded me of Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Ooh, okay.
And reminded me of Grand Admiral Thrawn from the books. Because you're absolutely right. This guy is a strategist and a tactician where, yeah, he's looking at everything. Like when they introduced him last week and he was like, oh, Ahsoka Tano? Yeah. Jedi? Yeah. All right, give me every piece of information you have about her. Where she studied, who her master was, what her favorite ice cream flavor is, what she driving, when she learned how to drive, what color are her lightsabers, how many does she use, he is Mr. Research. And
yeah, definitely.
And it really comes out the books made it very clear. This dude studies the art of a civilization to work up a psychological profile on them so he knows how to fight them effectively. And they showed
he's
that.
On another level.
Yeah, he is. They're playing chess. This dude is playing Go. He's just he's not playing the same game. And good on Filoni for being like, oh no, we lost to the Jedi and we cannot find the mercenary that I'm pretty sure isn't going to be with us forever because he's a Jedi. He was trained as a Jedi, and I don't really trust Jedi. Because, I've seen too much. I know too many things. However, it's cool. All this was a distraction in the first place. We've been loading up the truck. What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the truck is almost done.
Yeah, so you didn't see that this was just a distraction? Man. I'll be glad to get out of here. And
he's
yeah,
like, we have time. She doesn't.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Where the writers and the actor who's performing Thrawn is amazing, perfectly cast in my opinion, because everything about him is everything I loved about Emperor Palpatine, not Senator, Emperor Palpatine, without the cackling, because this dude, he's got his math is mathin'. I mean, he
doesn't have the emotional problem that someone like the Emperor had, like Palpatine had, being a Sith, because you have this like huge ball of anger, and when just kill. He doesn't really. I mean, he has that, but it's not. It doesn't consume him.
Right. Yeah, he's all about the job. He's all about that job. And when they were like, when they were pulling the thing of, oh no, they're beating our mercenary and stuff, he's like, it's not a big consequence. Like, I knew that was going to happen because, let's see, we got one Jedi that's been stranded here with us and leaving us alone. Then the Mandalorian Jedi shows up, and then the Jedi that was mentored by Darth Vader was showing up. We weren't supposed to win this battle, but in the grand scheme of things, it's cool. And I'm like, all right, this is a dude that doesn't just see the whole board. He sees the whole gaming store. He's literally looking at, he's playing Moneyball while everybody else is really trying to get through the next inning, And they really showed that. And the fact that he was calm and was stoic and, pulling the, oh, it ain't nothing but a thing. especially in the face of what's her name, the Force Witch, being like, I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. And he's like, let me explain this for the audience. You know, I think,
not for the
I
audience.
drink
Though.
and I know things. That is what I do. And
Hey,
I'm
well-
all out of liquor, so I just know things. I mean, that's what he does.
Well, there's one big thing I want to talk about last, which is the round 2 of Ahsoka and Baylan Skoll. You know, we get a chance for them to, you know, come back, fight again. How are you? I'll say, Jay, how are you feeling about their second encounter?
I liked how it was set up strategically, where it was kind of like, look, I'm only distracting you long enough so that it helps out my team. This is not like, you're not going to be able to beat me. I thought that was a good setup for it. I still think this is just my complaint throughout this episode, as we already talked about. So I'm just going to sound like I'm saying the same thing over again. It still felt, though, like the stakes were like, we're going to have them fight again. Let's contrast this with the battle in episode 4, which is one of my favorite lightsaber battles in Star Wars history. That was like, look, we have the map. We need to get the map so we can get to Thrawn. If we don't have the map and this process doesn't finish, the show's over. Like, Thrawn, the bad guys fail, right?
Yeah, roll credits.
And yeah, exactly. Just roll credits. And so Baylan in that moment has to beat her. He has to be able to overcome her in some way, shape, or form. Ahsoka rolls up, and Ahsoka's thing is, I have Sabine here. I've already talked to Sabine about this. We've foreshadowed that Thrawn is coming back if they're successful, and we cannot let that happen because everything we're doing with the New Republic could just fall to pieces. And since we all know who Thrawn is, that makes sense to us. So we're like, yeah, cool. This battle, it was like that, but on like 2.0 was like the light version as opposed to the heavy version, right? It was just kind of like, well, I don't want you to get to my apprentice, so we're just gonna like tussle for a few minutes and then like that'd be over. Honestly, I almost preferred seeing Ahsoka do the forms while Anakin was watching her, because that like was more core to what her character was going through at that time, and I kind of understood that. This just felt like an excuse for Ahsoka to encounter somebody to kind of just give her another barrier before she got to Ezra and Sabine, but I didn't really feel the stakes. So it was fine, but in comparison to episode 4, it feels a little bit lackluster, because that felt like a battle that should have been in the penultimate episode, and this felt like a battle that should have been in episode 4.
Okay. And Solar?
I gotta disagree with Jay. Not that I felt the stakes, because he's absolutely right on the fact that this kind of was a stakeless battle on the front end. But what I saw when she got to round 2 was, because of her little time meditating and talking with Anakin, while she was taking a little swim and getting to know the whales, what I saw was improvement. Okay. Like, there's a really big theme of tactical awareness in this episode. So, you know, their fighting styles are very cool. Like, she's very agile, he's very powerful, and that was coming out in the choreography. But what I definitely saw that was different was the first time they fought, she was trying to win. You know, like, she was trying to beat him, which is why she ended up taking a header into the freaking ocean. All right. But in this one, it was very much it was even said for the people in the back, you can't beat me. Oh, I know. Like, I don't have to, because my ride's right behind you, you know, and I'm taking your car. I thought that was like, I literally saw Lucius Malfoy in a safari hat going, clever girl. That's what I saw. You know, she improved on her thinking and her style between those two fights, you know, and that is something that came out in the actor performances as well. Because did you notice the look on his face when she took his horse?
Oh yeah, he did.
He was like, all right, cool.
He was like, well played. And the funny thing is,
that was very much a well played, Claire.
Like she fought better this time with the stakes being different for her. Because like in the first fight, she's like, I cannot let them get over this, and, you know, and then but now after speaking with Anakin, after, you know, going through that and having that like experience, you know, or a subconscious experience or whatever, she now seemed to fight better.
Yeah,
almost like she wasn't weighed down by maybe the, you know, the, I don't know, the responsibility or whatever. She just seemed to move around him a lot better. And even though he was definitely more powerful than her, it seemed that she got more hits off on him in this fight than the first one. In the first one, it seemed like she was struggling. And this one, it seemed like, oh, hold on. She stepped it up a little bit.
Well, in this one, I could definitely see the motivations for her battle changed. Okay. In the first fight, like, you know, we all know, Jay knows this better than I do, but when a writer puts in an action scene, they have two choices to make. They can have the thing of, this will look really cool, so I'll let the director have it, or I have to make it clear what they're fighting for. Okay. And in this particular battle, good old round 2 between our two more experienced Jedi, you see in this one that Ahsoka was fighting for someone versus fighting for something.
Okay.
You know, and her coming to terms with all of the feelings that she had with Anakin while she was on her little spirit walk, I think played a major part in that. And that was where she became more countery, more agile, more flexible. Because I don't want to bring up episodes that you guys already covered too much. But the discussion that she had, that teenage her with better choreography, had with Anakin during the Clone Wars, of, you know, what if I don't want to fight anymore? Like Anakin was teaching her how to be a soldier, and she really just wanted to be a teacher, you know? And after that little spirit walk, that came out more in her performance. Not just in her fight, but in her interactions with Hera's kid, her interactions with Hera. Like, she'd really come into her own as a Jedi after putting aside what she thought Anakin wanted for her while he was on that path of becoming Vader. You get what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, those are good points.
Okay.
I mean, I can see from an Ahsoka's journey standpoint, I can definitely see how this lightsaber battle with Baylan was meaningful in that regard. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, well, I guess with that said, I'm gonna throw it to Jay for final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Yeah, final thoughts. Again, not a bad episode, just oddly mild for a penultimate episode. It felt like it just needed more tension spliced throughout. But you know what? Like, I still think, you know, it's highly likely that Filoni's going to be directing the last one. I haven't looked it up, but that seems like it makes sense to me. I think he loves these characters. These are, you know, characters that he has a lot of depth with. Ezra is going to probably learn the soul-crushing news that he's not going home, I assume. And that'll be intense, and it'll be kind of crazy, and we'll get a better feel for where things are headed for the rest of the Mandoverse, and as they head into this final film. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to talking about it next week. So it'll be a good time. And you can find me on Twitter at at Jay Sherer, or I guess it's X now, right? You can find me on X at Jay Sherer. And then also you can check out How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. I just released a table read. It's kind of like it's a short film. It's not the full film, and I cut it in half because it was so much editing work. I didn't want to take too long, but I've got part one of our short film, the table read version. So it's kind of like watching Critical Role. I'm the narrator, and then there's actors that play all the roles that get spliced in. So it's pretty fun. That's over at How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. You can check that out. We'll have part 2 eventually, and then we're filming the actual short film in November. So next year you'll be able to watch that as well. So check it out. Follow me over there, and stay tuned for next week when we're talking about the finale of Ahsoka, which would be fantastic.
Yes. All right, Solar.
All right, guys, I'm Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, still coming at you from the Wizard's Tower.
Yeah.
And my final thoughts on this is, man, it's really good that this show finally picked up its momentum, and everything about it is telling me that it planned on having a second season. So I hope I'm correct in the sense of this whole thing is building up to a season 2, and if that's the case, then I've got no problem with the way that it's coming out, because it's planting a lot of seeds that look like they'll be fun to watch grow. If not, then this is really sad for the penultimate episode of a series, because again, they planted a lot of seeds that would really look good, would really be fun to watch grow. But they're not really staying, I don't want to say consistent, but it's one thing to plant seeds when you only have, 7-8 episodes? It's another thing to plant seeds when all you're getting is 7 or 8 episodes. So if there's a season 2 in the works, then I am super happy with this. Super happy. It's finding its thing where it put us in a really cool place narratively of, are they going to get home? If there's a season 2, there's a possibility that they are going to be there for a season, and we get to focus on Hera and possibly the return of Han Drunken Jedi, who's a teacher now. We can expand a little more in the Rebels universe. However, if they're trying to wrap up this season with a tidy bow, then I'm afraid, because this episode was decent, but it's either planting seeds for a good second season or for a rushed ending to the first, and it could go either way, and that scares me.
I guess we'll see. From my end, final thoughts, guys, make a very long finale and just make it count. Just make it count, because I don't know if this is supposed to be a series finale or a season finale. So you got to make it count. And Thrawn has got to. We gotta show what you've been getting us all excited for the whole season. Like, stop making us wait until the very last episode to see 2 minutes of them actually do the thing. But with that said, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Until the next time that the space whales have to get out of there because of a minefield. Until the next time that 3 witches pinpoint your location. This is from us to you saying, peace.